Hey everyone, welcome back. In the last video, we explored Magic Mask, tackling tricky areas with Max Paint and Polygon Node, and working through some challenging frames. If you followed along, you probably picked up on some great techniques for refining your Magic Mask. Today, we are diving into selective color grading on specific areas of your screen instead of applying it to the entire frame. To achieve this, we use additional media outs and working with both Fusion and the color page. Let's jump right in and get started. Okay guys, we are in the computer right now, so let us begin. Okay, so I'm first going to set up using adjustment clip on the edit page. Most of the time we set up our project from the media, then perhaps edit page. Okay, so we're going to head to edit page and we are going to start working with adjustment clip. Okay, I could start with the media that I have, but I'm just going to start with adjustment clip because I want to do most of my work in the Fusion page. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to increase the adjustment clip length. Let's increase it to about 9 seconds. Okay, now I have 9 seconds here. Let me see. All right, so the clip is about around 9 seconds, and let us head to the Fusion page where we are going to start our work. And here it is, the Fusion page. All right, so because we are started with adjustment clip, we don't need this media in here. Okay, so let us take away this media in. Let's delete this. Okay, so I'm going to start working with this image right here. This is the first image I'm going to be working with. It's like a PNG picture, transparent picture, and I also have a video clip over here. Okay, so this clip and this picture. Okay, keep in mind that the video itself is the right size with my project. So my project is 1920 by 1080. So this media is the right size. Okay, so let me connect it to the media out. Okay, so this is the right size and this is not the right size. So as I hover over the media in, because of the way I'm recording this video, you're not able to see the little info card that displays when I hover over this node right here. Okay, so it tells me the size 1624 by 1944. Maybe I should correct that because I want you guys to be able to see that as well. Okay, so by the next video, I'm going to correct that. Okay, so that size doesn't match the size of this project. Okay, so let's connect this here. Okay, so if I go to the media out, it works, but you want that size to be the same size of the project. Okay, so in order to do that, we are going to use a background node. We're going to connect the media in to the background node. Okay, so the background becomes the background and this media in becomes the foreground. And of course, the background is going to be the size of your project when you start working. So whenever you start a project and you bring a background node, that background node automatically is going to start from the size of the project. Okay, so if you go to image, it's the correct size, 1920 by 1080. So now that have fixed the size problem just by connecting the background to it. All right, so now we could connect it to the foreground, but we have a black background. It's easy to fix. We head to the color and we head to alpha and decrease the alpha, and there you go. You solve that problem. Okay, so because I'm going to be working with quite a few nodes here, I'm going to name this media to media TV. Okay, it's not important, it's just to know what you're working with. Media TV. All right, and I'm also going to name this background as well, media. Since I'm in a gym, let's just call it gym, so that way we could work cleanly. Like I said in my intro, we are going to be introducing additional media out. Okay, we know we are doing selective color grading in specific areas of the screen. I'm trying to color grade the background separately, and I'm also trying to color grade the TV separately. And I'm also going to add the background as a screen here to be on this TV. But this TV here is kind of big, so I'm going to resize it to the size that I need it to be. So I'm going to select that media in, and I'm going to select transform. Okay, so I'm simply going to reduce the size. So let's see, because I want everything to be seen. and perhaps bring it up a little bit. Let's say this is the size that I need here. Okay, so let's leave it here. But this media in, I also want to trim where this video starts, okay, because look where it ends. Okay, well, the video is actually longer than that. Let me put this here, but remember the adjustment clip is only 9 seconds, so I'm simply going to trim it here so that it starts where I want it to start. Right where I'm about to start pulling up, that's where I'm going to start. By the way, we could also trim our footage in the Fusion page as well. Okay, so I've set up the media in from the gym, and I've also set up the TV, and I've also resized it to the size that I need. Okay, so because I also want to color grade this separately, so I'm going to introduce a media out of its own. I'm going to introduce a media out to separate media out for the TV. Okay, so I'm going to disconnect it from here, and I'm going to select this merge, and I'm going to hit Shift spacebar and look for media out. Again, anytime I have a pop-up from DaVinci Resolve, because of the way I'm recording this, it doesn't actually show on the screen. I noticed that on my last video when I was editing. I'm going to fix that. Usually when I record on the Mac, it gives me a different option to be able to record that. And I'm pretty sure it's also on Windows, but I have to figure that out. If you know how to do that, let me know. I'm going to figure it out anyways. Okay, so I'm going to select media out. I'm going to add media out. So I'm going to arrange it this way. So again, my work is clean. You always want to arrange your work in a way that you're going to be able to tell what you're doing. So we have 2 media outs. Okay, so when you have 2 different media outs, when you click on the first media out, it's going to have an index number. All right, so the first media out is going to have the index number 0, and the second media out is going to have an index number 1. So when you add another one, it's going to have 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do here is let's head back to this media in. So I wanted to blur the background. So this is going to be the main background, and I wanted to blur this background. It's simple. It's our regular blurs. Okay, so I'm going to use lens blur for this one. Shift space bar, and I'm going to look for lens blur. So I'm going to head here now, and okay, let's decrease this blur a little bit. Okay, so I believe that's enough. That's what I need here. We have a background, and we've blurred the background. And remember that we also want that background displaying on this TV right here. We are going to use planar tracker to do that. Okay, so we're going to use a planar tracker to determine where that screen is going to fit. So I'm going to select the merge, and I'm going to add planar tracker in this node right here. So Shift space bar, planar tracker. I'm going to add this, and obviously we are going to draw where we are trying to track. We are done tracing where we want our screen to be. After drawing the polygon, we hit set, and since we are at the end of the screen here, at the end of the frames, we can track backward to start. Okay, it doesn't really matter if you're in the beginning, you could track forward. All right, because it's not actually moving, so that was quite easy. It just tracked it quite fast, so it only took a few seconds to be able to track. So we are done tracking the planar tracker. Okay, so there are various methods you can employ here, but we are going to change the operation mode from track to corner pin. You don't actually need to use this method, but let's just use this method for this video's sake. Okay, so with this, we are just going to trace where we want the screen to appear. Place the corners, you could zoom in for accurate sake. Okay, perfect. And now we can connect the main background, which is the media gym, to the foreground of the planar tracker. And here you go. Now the screens appear. Let's zoom in real quick. I want to get this to the center. Okay, but remember that we also want to color grade the screen independently as well. So we also need to introduce a media out to the planar tracker. We could bring this down here, and we can disconnect the media out TV, and we can connect from the merge. From merge 2, we could connect to the media out TV. So now the media out TV has its own media out, okay? And we could add, let's bring this down so we could see clearly what we're doing. And we could select the planner tracker, and we could hit shift space bar, and we could look for its own media out. We're clicking. Okay, so let's bring this here so we could work cleanly, and let's put this to the viewer. Okay, so let's name this screen media out. We're gonna put this screen. Okay, so but this media out has the TV and the screen. We want to color grade the screen independently, so we're going to select planner tracker, and we are going to change the merge mode. Okay, so the merge mode have several options. If I click the background, it's going to select just the TV because the TV is the background in this node case, okay? And the foreground is a screen, and foreground of a background is both, then background of a foreground is both, but the foreground is behind. Okay, so let's pick foreground only. Okay, so in this case, this media out now has the screen, which is the foreground only. Okay, so we fixed that. So remember I told you guys I watched a tutorial and I picked up a technique which is actually pretty handy, and I'm going to start using that technique. Actually, it was called a light wrap. Okay, technically we're done, but let's add that one more technique that's going to make our image blend the background with the foreground smoothly. It's going to look better with the light wrap. So let's include that technique. All right, so let's select lens blur and let's get matte control here. And we're going to connect the matte control to the background. Okay, so now we have matte control. And we are going to go to the foreground, which is from TV. And we are going to connect this to matte control, but we're going to connect it to the garbage matte. And we are going to hold Alt if you are in PC and Option if you are in Mac. And release and pick garbage matte. So now when we go there, what that does is it took the shape of the TV and it removed the shape of the TV from the background. But we don't want to cross our work like this. So we could hit Alt and click. Okay, so we could create something like this. Alt and click. So what this is just an extension of this output right here. Okay, so we're going to select my control and we are going to add a Gaussian blur. All right. So we're going to put it down here and we're going to increase this Gaussian blur. Don't worry, we could come back here and we could measure exactly how much we need. We're not done yet. So we are going to add another matte control. And okay, so this is where this little thing we added here comes in play. We could go to the merge node here and drag from the output from here and connect it to the second matte control. We don't want to do that. Since we have this here, we could simply drag from the pipe router. I guess that's what it's called. And we could drag from here. Okay, so it's the same as dragging from this merge as well. Okay, so we just drag from here. And again, we do the same thing, Alt, release, and select matte control. You can't see the options because of, again, the way I was recording this video. I didn't record it in a way that you could actually see any pop-up from DaVinci Resolve. Okay, so now we also want to introduce this technique to its media out. But before we do that, let's put this to the viewer and see what it's doing. With this technique, what we want to do now is we want to go to garbage matte and we're going to select the invert. When we select the invert, you see this little wraps. This is going to wrap around the TV itself. Okay, so we could go to Gaussian blur and we could increase how we want it. Okay, so you don't want to increase it too much. You just want to make it light. It just blends in the background with the foreground. That's basically what that does. And I believe it's a very good technique. So now we're going to introduce this to its media out. Okay, so we hit shift space bar and we look for media out. Okay, and select media out. Boom. All right, so now we have media out. Again, we want to rename this to, okay, we call this light wrap. Okay, so that's what it was called. That's what I'm gonna call it. Okay, right now we're done with the light wrap. We're done with the background. Okay, we're done with the planner tracker. Okay, screen, and we're done with the TV. All right, so the structure and fusion is done. Okay, so if I go to edit page, what's going to be showing is the media out one that has the index number 0. Okay, so that's the universal media out right now. Okay, but not to worry, we can merge all the media outs on the color page. Okay, so on the color page, we are going to focus on ways to get the structure to color independently. So we have media out background here. Okay, so this is the first media out background. So if you hover over it, the name is going to appear, the media out background, whatever name you gave that media out, the index 1. If you hover over this, it's going to pop up. This is the source from the media out 1, and we have 4. So what we're going to do is we are going to add additional sources. Okay, so right click, add source. You're not going to see my pop up. I don't believe so. So you're going to right click and you're going to see add source as one of the selections. Okay, so you're going to add 3 more times because we have 4. We already have 1, so we're going to add 3 more times. Okay, add source, add source. Okay, so the first one is going to be index 0, the second one index 1, third one is index 2, the fourth one is index 3 because remember it started from 0. So now we have all the sources in here. Okay, if you add one more, then there's no source attached to it, so it's not gonna show anything. Okay, this is the background here. If you like, you could just name them background BG. Just name this BG background. Okay, so now you have different options depending on how you want to structure your nodes here. Okay, so let's add a parallel node. We could do that, right click, add node, add parallel, or you could hit Alt and P. You want to connect this now to the second source. Boom, and now you have the TV. You could connect the alpha channel. Boom. Well, we could right click here and morph this into layer mixer. Okay, you have the option to morph it to layer mixer. So when you do that, now you have the 2 layers mixed in here. Okay, given this technique, you could do this technique to the third and the fourth one. You could do the same thing if you actually want to, but since you already know this technique, let's do something else. But before that, let's name this. Let's name this TV. Okay, so now we could right click here and add node. All right, or you could hit Alt S to add Siri. Okay, so what this node is, this is a combination of everything here, just being continued here. All right, so from here you could also add a parallel node. Well, the reason why I wanted to do it like this is because on the mixer you could also change the mode. All right, so from here, let's add from the third source. Boom, and you have the screen, and we could add the alpha. Then we could change this layer here to morph it to layer mixer. Okay, now everything is being mixed up. Okay, so the reason why I wanted to do it this way structurally is because now we could go to this node right here, right click and go to composite mode and change that composite mode to screen. You could see the screen changes its appearance. All right, so that's why I did that. Okay, so we could also add another parallel from here if you want to, or you could add that parallel from the first one. All right, but let's select this one right here and we're going to add parallel. So Alt P. So we're going to disconnect here and we're going to connect it from this source right here, the media out. Boom. As soon as I connected it, you saw what happened there. Okay. And also we connect the alpha. So that one is kind of subtle. Hopefully you could actually see it clearly. Okay, so now we are done with the structure. So if I go to the background now, I could color correct this easily. Okay, I could mess with the gain now. As you can see, it's just color correcting the background. Okay, and if I go to TV, I could change the temperature. Okay, this is too warm. We could change the temperature to match what's in the page. Okay. Now we could also go to screen right here. Let's name this screen. Could name this wrap. So always go to label your nodes. Okay, so you know what you're doing. Okay, so on the screen we could boost the saturation, or we could boost the color. Okay, we could boost the contrast. Whatever you deem fit, you could do here on the light wrap. Okay, so when I increase the gains, you see what's happening. If you look at the bottom and look at the top, you can see the exaggeration, okay? That's a shine from the background to the edges, which make it look more realistic, okay? But you want to make it subtle. Let's zoom into the legs. So if you look at the legs, you can see clearly that's the light wrap, okay? There you go. So guys, we've come to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. So make sure to hit that like button and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe. And by the way, just to let you know, I did get a lot of my information from watching another tutorial. It aligned with the video that I was trying to do, so I picked up a lot of information from that tutorial to do my own tutorial, okay? So my tutorial was a big basic in comparison to that video. So if you want to learn more, and if you want to learn more tips on this topic, I'm gonna put the link to that video. So I'm gonna catch you on the next video. Peace.